Hey internet, good morning. So sneaky Friday off today because I worked last weekend, so yeah, got a bit of an ode day back to me. So like I said to you last week, we're going to crack on with the 550 this morning. Had some parts delivered this week, so let's have a quick look at what we received. So we've got a new right hand handlebar switch controller. It looks pretty much identical to that one, the one that we've taken off the bike, other than the fact it's got all of the correct wires going to it. So it's a very simple switch on the Z550. It really is just the engine on, stop, and the parking lights and the start button. So, hopefully we won't have any issues with that. That's great. We've got the push and pull throttle cables. Again, high level, I haven't heard of them before, but it's all good. Non-genuine, of course. The main event is the wiring harness, which has come. Doesn't look much, does it? But it's not really a big harness on the bike, so there's not really a lot of complicated stuff really. But if it's all, we'll go through it shortly and give it a bit of a clean, and yeah, clean all that off. It's got a original part number on there. So according to that Partzilla website from last week, where I looked up 1981 GPZ550, this is the part number for the wiring harness. So even though the guy had got it advertised as for a Z500, I'm not sure about that, but anyway, so it definitely says that this is the right part number. So I'm really hoping it is this time. So we're going to get the panel work off the bike shortly, get the seats back off, the seat back off it, and the side panels, all that sort of stuff. Get the old loom off and crack on with it. So yeah, that's today's job. And then additionally, what I've bought is I have bought, because I had such a job getting the engine back in the 400. It was nice enough to get it out because it drops off the bottom, or drops out the bottom of the frame. You take those bottom frame sections off. You get a trolley jack underneath it, loosen all of the bolts off, and then you can just lower it down. It just comes out a treat, and then you just got to wriggle it out from the rest of the frame. But getting it back in is a real pain because obviously you can't just get a trolley jack under it. So I ended up having to sort of wedge it up with a bit of wood, then tip it the other way, wedge it up, and rock it up almost. So I thought, well, that's no good. So I bought myself there we go, a nice hand winch. Looks a bit of a handful, I must say. But yeah, I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to suspend that from a beam in the loft. I will, put a beam across the beams so it's spreading the load. But yeah, I'm going to use this to get our 600 engine swapped. I've decided as well, when the 550 is done, one of the things that I'm going to do with the blue and white 600 is, I think, because Mickey had refreshed, as he said, the 600 engine that was in the 400 when I bought it, and it got a lot less miles on than this engine. I'm thinking of swapping them over just to have a bit of a go with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the engine that's in the 600 at the moment. It runs really nicely, but if I can improve on it still further, I think I might. And then when the engine's out, I'll get the frame painted at the same time. So yeah, that's all good, and that's something for the future. So we've got that. And I also bought a one of these big webbed straps to, so I can link it, put it under the engine and then hoist it up. I think because it's a ton weight limit on the chain hand hoist, I think that'll be enough. Sorry, I'm just moving the box from the back of the heater. If you can hear a humming in the background, it is really quite chilly again today, so I've got the heater going. But yeah, so that's it. Let's crack on and see how far we get. Thanks very much for sticking with me. Thanks, internet. Right then, so old loom. Yeah. New loom. Just working through the sockets just to see if we're looking like we've might have the right sort of thing. Not sure what all that is. There we go. It's not looking too bad at the moment. Lots of tail lights. Oh. Wow, it's got this massive long piece in there. Just look at this. So the original one's got this enormous long thing here, and I thought it looked too flipping long at the time, and I had to tuck it around a lot of stuff. Whereas this one's got this one. And I think it seems to be same wires, so you know, pretty much. Not too sure. Yeah, so a bit of clean these up. All my connectors. So, out with the old. It's quite funny actually, because this loom is obviously far more intact than the one I've taken off the bike. And you know, it's a reflection of how it's not been bodged up as much, because it looks half the size of the other one. Electrical spray here, as donated by my friend and owner of Noble Craft Brewing, your local real ale brewery in Market Drayton. Pop along and visit their Facebook site and order some of their beer. Right, so just wanted to have another look at that OEM part number there. Yep, it's definitely right. 1126, that's our part number. Okay, before we crack on with getting the loom on the bike, I just thought we'd have a quick look at this handlebar switch off the right hand side. So obviously this is the one that I've taken off. You know, it's quite genuine and what have you, but not too worried about that. I wanted to have a look at what the wires were like really. So this is our new one. Okay, so it's slightly different on the top. The engine stops in a different place, you know, the wording, but you know, it's still a three-way switch. Still got the lights on the front there, and the start, all important start button. Okay, so let's have a look at the other end. Like I say, this had been completely bodged into the rest of the wiring loom, so not too sure. You know, what was supposed to be going where. You know, the advantage of obviously having the plug is if it plugs straight into this new loom, we should be halfway there to getting the bike going, if I can get the other connectors sorted. So what have we got? into that main plug we've got a brown, red, black and yellow with a red. So we've got a brown, so we seem to have two browns, a brown and white. Definitely got a black though, yellow and red. Okay, we've got a blue, two solid blues. That might be to indicate blue and white. So okay, we've got a couple of different colours, but you know, it's still the 6 wires, so hopefully that'll be alright. But you know, if we have to do a bit of jigging, that'll be fine, but it's got to be better than that, hasn't it? So you know, it's let's see if we can do that. That'd be good. Okay, let's crack on. Hey internet, so having to cut the video a bit short today. Unfortunately, I've been very rudely interrupted by my full-time employers as there is a tech problem at the office that I need to remote on and deal with. So I'm going to have to do this video in two parts. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I think you can see that we're getting on quite well. The loom for the wiring harness, I would say, is definitely correct. There's a couple of connectors there that I don't really recognise, and I think I'd routed it up the wrong side of the frame to start with, but now I've corrected that and it's sitting much better, and the connectors are right near to where they need to be. So we've got a few issues with the fact that the plug has been snipped off the end of the igniter, and also the wires that come out of the, I'm not too sure, but the bottom of the engine, and there's a bunch of yellow wires on their own, and there's no plug on the end of them either. So they're going to be a bit of a tricky one. The igniter's going to be a bit of a tricky one, and there's a couple there that I don't know where they go. So it's like I say, I've got to leave it for today because I've got to go and do some other stuff, some technical stuff. But I would say that I think we're further forward now than we were before. I think the next stage will be to connect the battery up and start working through the things that aren't working, and maybe seeing if we've got some ignition. So all good, you know. And even if I end up having to take it to TT Motorcycles at this stage, I think they would be they would find it far easier to fix now than with that knackered old wiring loom. I mean, did you see the length of the back section? You know, I'm wondering whether it really did come off the 550 to start with, but hey, anyway. So all good. I do apologise. So it's going to be a part one and a part two. So I'll see you next time. Thanks very much for staying with me. I hope you're enjoying the Z550 videos. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.